How often in your daily life do you actually stop and look around to see if you're experiencing joy? If you do feel that emotion of joy, how often in life do you stop to think about from whence it came? We see lots of feeds on social media and workshops and books that tell us to seek joy, to find our joy. And there's one going around now about how to declutter in life. You should go through your house and touch every object. And if it doesn't spark joy, you should rid yourself of it. Great. There goes my vacuum cleaner. There is an ancient biblical writing in the book of James that says, "Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds." So can pain begat joy? The idea I propose today is that painful life experiences, traumas, are experiences that form connectors with other people, which form relationships we might never have, that bring us joy. My path to this idea, to this discovery, began 5 years ago, when at the age of 47, for the first time, I went to a mental health therapist. Because to the outside world, I should have been a really happy person. I had a decades-long marriage to a good, kind man. I had a happy, healthy, successful teenager in college. I had a good job, fabulous girlfriends, and all the money I needed. But I was miserable. Nothing was ever good enough. I never trusted anything. I rarely trusted other people. I felt that people always judged me, that I wasn't good enough, and so I had to do extra. I was often called a perfectionist, type A, and I was starting to make others around me miserable. So I went to therapy. At the end of my first therapy session, my therapist pulled up a list, the official list of the United States Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Adverse Childhood Experiences, the ACEs, a list of 10. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical neglect, emotional neglect, witnessing the violent treatment of a mother, mental health issues in the household, substance abuse in the household, separation from parents, divorce, incarceration of family members. As she went through the list with me, about halfway down, I started hoping for a skip. Okay, we're going to skip one. One of these will not apply to my childhood. I will tell you, for the first and only time in my life, I was a perfect 10.
My brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Shabbat Shalom to the Set Apart family, the Most High Yah. We welcome you to another Sword of the Spirit audio teaching. Let hands be lifted up to you in praises today, O Yah. To you who created the set apart day, this day that you made and sanctified and hallowed and rested, the Sabbath day, the day that has your name in it. May we highly esteem you, O Father Yah, on this day as you pass by us with all of your glory. So with that being said, we welcome you to 192nd. I'm almost, every week I lose count. We are heading towards the 200 mark, but we welcome you to our 192nd audio teaching. Today's teaching, once again, is a webinar. I'm going to bring in my co-sister in the faith. Shabbat Shalom, sis. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom. I am doing wonderful. It is really nice out there today.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful,
yes.
beautiful day. Beautiful
Yes.
day. It's been this week. It's been okay. We finally, I think, hit the corner because I was getting worried for a minute. I'm thinking like, it's almost July.
Yes, is summer coming yet? Yes, I feel you.
We barely broke the 70-degree mark, so it's, you know, it's just a blessing. So today it is truly, it's always a beautiful day to
Exactly.
be here. If you woke up this morning
Yeah.
in your right mind and the Father kept you and he's allowed you to see another day, it's a beautiful day no matter what the weather, but it just adds extra joy when you look out and the birds are singing, the grass is green, the trees are flowing. I mean, it's just an absolutely beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. I mean, it's beautiful. And so I'm just grateful to be here today. And so how is all on your end? Are you done with school yet?
Yes, Friday. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm saying Friday. Wednesday was my official last day until August. I think around the second or third week in August. So praise me, yeah. I'm officially off.
Yes, let the fun begin.
Yes, let the fun begin. I won't be checking my emails.
No, I know some teachers do that, and I'm like, I do not check when I leave and clock out. I'm done. I do not.
Yes, I don't check nothing until the next day.
Anything until that morning of. Then when we emailed you last night, I said that's a bad idea. So.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get started with today's teaching.
Okay.
Today's teaching, as you see on your screen, is entitled "Joy, the Forgotten Fruit of the Spirit." And
How often?
We're going to begin with today's description. So joy, we know, and you know, we all can read the description is there on the screen. You can see it for yourself. And so I'm just going to pretty much paraphrase. I know what I wrote, but joy, the reason why I entitled it Joy, the Forgotten Fruit of the Spirit, because it is, we know that there are many fruits that the Father seeks to develop and to complete in us. And I'm not gonna go into it right now because we will go into it once we get into this PowerPoint presentation. But we know about self-control and endurance and love and all those things, but rarely do we focus on joy. We focus on all the other fruits of the Spirit. And we know that we have to have the fruits of the Spirit in order to enter into the kingdom. If you have no fruits, he's going to do away with you. Okay, this is an absolute must. And so we focus on, all of the fruits that we need in order to keep us from sinning. But we don't realize that joy is also a fruit of the Spirit, as we're going to see in a moment. And so joy, even if you're not a believer, even if you're an atheist, everyone that is on this planet seeks after this fruit of the Spirit, joy. But rarely in this world that we know, as you see on the screen, that is filled with constant chaos and relentless responsibilities that we have, especially when you become an adult. Even though joy is the most sought after fruit, it's the fruit that is rarely sustained, okay? And so I'm going to ask a few questions for those of you who are listening. Have you ever found yourself in bondage to a continuous cycle of negative thoughts? Okay, you're thinking negative thoughts all the time. Unfruitful thoughts that affect the way you feel. These are thoughts that when they come into your mind, it begins to change your mood. It begins to change the way you feel. Are you stuck in a continuous cycle of dark or negative or unfruitful thoughts that affect the way that you feel about yourself? Have you allowed work, family, and the inevitable occurrences of life to cause you to be depressed, stressed out, angry, withdrawn, rarely smiling, rarely enjoying the simple things in life? As when you look on this screen, we're just talking about the simple things. Just a beautiful flower, just enjoying the sun, just like a child, blowing bubbles, just being at peace, just looking at that water in itself, that just puts me at peace. If you answer yes to any of these questions, did you know that it is possible to be a prisoner in your own mind? Yes, I said that. It is possible to be a prisoner in your own mind. And so, having said all of this, as a believer, what does the word of Yah say about worrying? And we're going to talk about that today. We're going into the scriptures today. Okay, what is the scripture? What does the word of Yah say about worrying? And what counsel does it provide us for overcoming difficulties and enduring trials and tribulations? Because we know in life, things are going to happen. Things that we cannot control. And so when those things happen, how do you bounce back? How do you overcome them? What's your train of thinking? And so today, with this webinar teaching, we're going to address the most sought after fruit of the Spirit, which is joy. And we're going to not only reveal what joy is and how to obtain it, but also reveal the difference between being happy and having joy, because there's a difference between happiness and joy. So we're going to talk about that today. So, if you look at the screen, you're looking at Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23. And this gives you the scripture for the fruits of the Spirit that the Most High expects for us to develop. But before we go into that, there's a couple of things I want to say. First, there can be no joy in Yah where there is no firm trust in Yah. I'm going to say this again. There can be no joy in Yah where there is no firm trust in Yah and no confidence in his all sufficiency. And this is why when we speak of joy, it's an inner thing. You're going to learn this when we go into because we're going to go into the definitions of it. Many of you are going to be surprised what the true definition of joy is, and especially as according to the word of Yah. But joy, this is an inner daily battle that we have to fight, because the world seeks to suck the joy that we have. The world seeks to suck the joy at every chance that it gets. And so we have to check ourselves whenever we allow the things, especially those things that are outside of our control, to steal our joy. And more importantly, to steal our joy in Yah. Okay? And again, this begins with the mind. And our mind is in our hearts, okay? Our mind is our heart because our hearts are prone we all know this, myself included. We're prone to trust in self. Well, y'all's not moving fast enough, so I'm going to just take it. I'm going to handle it myself. We're prone to trust in self. We're prone to trust in money. We're prone to trust in our jobs and what we think is security. We're prone to trust in worldly security or any other circumstance that come our way to challenge how strong our faith is. And ultimately, our joy in Yah, who is our strength. And what many of us fail to realize is that when our joy wanes, okay, when our joy wanes, so does our trust in Yah. I'll say this again. When our joy wanes, so does our trust in Yah. Okay? And so let's talk about joy. Let's talk about joy for a second. So we're going to go into the scriptures. So Galatians 5:22 and 23 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law. And so these are the fruits of the Spirit, the set-apart Spirit, that we must develop in order to see the kingdom. We must have love. We must have joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And he says there's no law against these things. And so let's define joy. We're going to start with defining joy. Let's define joy. So, according to the Blue Letter Bible, according to the context in which it was being spoken of in Galatians 5:22, where it says that the fruit of the Spirit, it says that joy. Okay? According to the Blue Letter Bible, joy is gladness, cheerfulness, calm delight. But pay attention to what I have highlighted and bolded and red. It says that joy is received from you. Joy is received from you. So this means that this is coming from within. Joy is not something that you can find in the world. Joy is not something that you can find through another person, but it is something that you find from within. It's not something that someone else can give you. Are you looking at this? It says that joy, according to the Blue Letter Bible, in the biblical context in which it is being spoken of, when it says in Galatians 5:22 that these are the fruits of the Spirit, and it lists joy. Joy is received from you. So this is inner. This is why I said earlier, this is inner. This is coming from within. Strong Hebrews 7:648 for joy, it says to be satisfied. Joy means to be satisfied. And this is all, again, in the context in which it is being spoken of in Galatians 5:22. It means to be satisfied. Does that mean that you're going to have everything you want, everything that you desire? No. But joy just means to be satisfied with wherever Yah has you, with whatever it is that you have. Because ultimately, he is the giver and the taker of all that we have. Strong Hebrews 5:937 for joy says to rejoice and to triumph. When we triumph, this is when we overcome. This is when we overcome. And so again, joy, according to the Blue Letter Bible, strong Hebrews, and it means, yes, we know the regular, what we would assume, gladness. I wasn't surprised when I saw gladness and cheerfulness and something you delight in, because something you delight in brings you joy. Something that is joyful, you're cheerful and you're glad. But I did not know it meant the joy received from you. Joy means to be satisfied. I don't hear people teaching this. And then when I looked it up in thesaurus.com for joy, it said pleasure, great happiness, okay? But then it also said gratification. Gratification, that's gratitude. That means fulfillment. That you are fulfilled. It says satisfaction. Thesaurus.com says the same thing that strong Hebrew said, to be satisfied. When you show gratitude, that means you're thankful. Satisfaction, according to thesaurus.com, when you look at the bottom, it says enjoying a state of comfort, enjoying a state of comfort. And then it says to be content. We talked about this last week. We talked about this last week in the mark of Cain. A lack of contentment was the reason for the fall of man in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. They were not satisfied, and they allowed Satan to seduce them and to get in their mind, to put thoughts in their minds. Oh, Yah he done played you. He didn't give you enough. Oh, he's trying to keep something from you. He knows that in the day you eat of this fruit, that you're going to be just like him. You're going to be a God. He's trying to withhold something from you. This is the things he's trying to implant in Adam and Eve's mind. And if there was not something in them that was not satisfied, they would not have taken heed to the enemy, the serpent. Okay? They were not fulfilled, where it says thesaurus.com for gratitude. Okay, when you delight in Yah, there's a certain mindset that you have, and there's actions that follow that mindset. If Adam and Eve were content with I'm sometimes at a loss for words. They were right there in the very presence of Yah. Had the angels sing and worship the Father. They're right there. He provided everything for them. He was even thinking of more ways that he could make their life easier. They didn't have to toil and force the ground. Everything was there. They didn't have to work. You didn't have to worry about death, aging. They knew no evil. But once they took from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, now they knew sadness. They knew sorrow. They knew death. Whereas Yah never wanted us to know those things. And see, this is what happens when you're not satisfied in Yah, when you're not satisfied with what Yah gives to you. It brings sorrow and it brings death. So joy, I can see now with me doing this teaching why joy is such an important fruit of the Spirit. Because when you don't have joy, you have a lack of contentment. You have a lack of gratitude for the Father. You're not satisfied. And it's definitely you have inner sadness. That's coming from within. This is an inner thing. You can't blame anybody else for your sorrow, for your sadness. Do things happen in life? Yes. But we have been called to triumph. We're going to see, read a couple of scriptures where, just like when you heard at the beginning, the testimony, and that was part 1. We're going to listen to part 2 of her testimony, where she talked about how miserable she was, even though according to the world, she had it all. She had a husband, she had money, everything you could have wanted, kids and colleges at the best of everything, and she was miserable. So we know if money solves all of our issues, what's going on with these celebrities committing suicide? Why are these celebrities some of the most miserable people you will ever meet? Yet they have, according to the world standards, they have everything. So you think, but inwardly they're miserable. Inwardly they're sad. They're sorrow. They're never satisfied. That's the same thing. A person that's not satisfied is a person that is greedy. Greed. What's behind greed? Pride. I wonder if you ever thought about that. So the definition, if you look up at the top, upper right-hand corner, just above the picture, the definition of joy, and this was, as I was putting this together, this was given to me, that based off of what we see on the left, and what was given to me as a definition is acceptance and trust. Joy is acceptance and trust. Accepting whatever Yah has given you, wherever you are, whatever He has allowed to come in your life, whether trial, tribulation, whether it's something you desire or not desire, it is joy, is acceptance and trust, whether it be something that is pleasurable or not. Joy is not attached to an emotion, a feeling. Well, I have joy because everything in my life is going well. What about when it's not going well? Do you still have joy? Do you still have the joy of Yah? So write this down. Joy is acceptance and trust. This was given to me. So I want you to look at the screen. Look at the screen and just kind of look at it. Trust is the backbone of joy. The backbone of joy is trust. Say it again. The backbone of joy is trust. Because when you trust in Him and you believe what He has said in His word, and you know that He is not a man where He can lie, His word is true, and He has fulfilled everything that He has ever spoken that has come out of His mouth, it will fulfill the purpose of which He has sent it out to do. When there is trust, and trust is the backbone, it is the anchor. When you stand on trusting in Him, that's your backbone. You will begin, when you grow in your trust, this is when you will have joy no matter what the circumstance is. I can honestly say I'm growing in this area. I'm growing in this area. I'm not 100% there. But He has been showing me. And I feel like a lot of these teachings that I've been doing lately, it's like He's showing me why. And I'm learning that me trusting Him cannot be predicated on Yeah, well, everything is okay. He brought me out of this situation so I can trust him. If he has done nothing else for you and everything else stops, will you still trust him? Just think about that. Because right now, people turn away. People stop trusting when they see he's not. This kind of like the world has that, what have you done for me lately syndrome. You're only, like in basketball, you're only as good as your last championship. Once you've won that, next year they don't remember if you won back-to-back championships. Now they're like, okay, what you gonna do for us this year? Are you gonna win? You gonna bring us another one? You don't win, and let's say you have a losing season where they were at first glorifying you and praising you. Now the world wants nothing to do with you. This is what they do to celebrities because their trust is in their money. Their trust is in their fame. Their trust is in their fortune. Their trust is not in Yah. That's where their joy is. Their joy is in the people that's screaming for them when they walk on stage. That's where their joy is. That's where they get their joy from. When the curtains close, the lights go off, and they stop saying lights, camera, actions, the money starts to dry up in the bank account. They're not calling you for movie roles. They're not calling you for any more contracts to do any more albums. When Hollywood decide we're done with you, if you're not serving Yah, they don't have anything to stand. They have no backbone. They have no trust. So therefore, their joy goes out the window. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So our trust has to be in Yah so that our joy will be sustained through the storm, whether he brings us out of it or not. And so, just looking at the screen, and I'm keeping up the definitions of joy for a reason. Joy and trust. Joy and trust go hand in hand. I don't know if you knew that. And I'm going to show you, I call them precepts, but they're also witnesses. Psalms 5:11. But let all who put their trust in you rejoice. I'm going to read this again. Let all who put their trust in you rejoice. Let them forever shout for joy. May you shelter them, and may those who love your name rejoice in you. Let all who put their trust in Yah rejoice. Let them forever shout for joy. Trust, joy and trust go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, like Batman and Robin, like ice cream and cake. There is no separation from joy and trust. Joy is acceptance and trust. When you have trust in Yah, and trust is the backbone of joy, you accept whatever. Paul talked about this. Psalms 28:7. Yah is my strength and my shield. In him my heart trusts. I am helped. My heart exalts. And with my song, I give thanks to him. That's gratitude. That's joy. Look at it at the bottom. I'm rejoicing. Joy. My heart trusts. That's the backbone. And because I trust, I know that I'm helped. Whether I've seen it come to pass yet, Our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, didn't live to see the promise of us awakening, coming into this truth. But they will. They had trust. They exalted. They gave thanks to him. Are you looking at this? Jacob wouldn't leave the messenger of Yah alone until he blessed them. His trust, his heart trusted. So again, joy and trust go hand in hand. This is a second witness. Everything according to Torah shall be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. I've just given you 2. Joy and trust go hand in hand. Here's a third witness. Psalms 28:7. For our heart is glad in him because we trust in his holy name. Are you looking at this? Our heart is glad in him. Look at Blue Letter Bible. Joy, gladness. Our heart is glad in him. Our heart is in joy because we trust in his holy name. Once again, joy and trust go hand in hand. Romans 15:13 says, may the Yah of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you believe in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the set apart spirit. This is from Apostle Paul. May Yah of hope fill you with all joy and peace. These are the 2 fruits of the spirit. As you believe in him. As you believe in him, meaning you're committed. To believe means to be committed. To believe means to accept and to trust. That you may overflow with hope by the power of the set apart spirit. Thesource.com for hope says confidence. It says reliance. And it says for what reliance means trust. When I rely, Prina is my best friend. I feel like I can rely on her if I have a need, and if she has it, she's going to give it. Where is that coming from? Trust. You don't rely on someone. Well, what do you say when you have a need and someone doesn't come through for you? You say, look, I can't rely on you. That means I don't trust you. I have no confidence in you, no hope. Are you looking at this? First Peter 1, verses 8 and 9 reads, though you have not seen him, you love him. And though you do not see him now, you believe in him and rejoice with joy and an inexpressible and glorious receiving the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Another version says, the reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your soul. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your soul. That's joy. When Stephen went down, they were stoning him to death. He was still having joy. He was still, when Yeshua said, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they do. They don't know what they're doing. Are you looking at this? So, you can look here at the screen. Definitely you see this is someone who seems like they're depressed. They're in despair. And so let's talk about the signs of someone that does not have joy. Anxiety, depression, stress, sadness, and I'm talking about constant sadness. Bitterness. Okay. Bitterness. And I'm going to go back. Constant frustration. Frequent moodiness. Completely withdrawn from family and friends. Envy and jealousy. Mean-spirited. So if you have anxiety, you have a lot of anxiety, that's a sign of someone that does not have joy. You're anxious. He says, be anxious for nothing. We are told to be anxious for nothing because we don't have the power to put anything, to do anything. Depression. That's a spirit. That's an unclean spirit that has attached itself to you. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Because a person that's depressed, you will see sadness. You will see them completely withdraw from family and friends. Stress. You're worrying about everything, especially those things that you can't control. So you're stressing out. We're going to talk to you in a minute. You're going to see on the screen what you do to your body when you're stressing. Yes, you know, we have adrenaline, and when things happen, your body is going to react and it's going to go into defense mode. I got to protect you. But that's not the mode you're supposed to, like I heard one lady say, if a bear is coming after you, you're not supposed to stay in that mode 24/7 that I'm being attacked by a bear. That's for that moment. We're not supposed to remain stressed out. Stress makes you gain weight. Stress causes sickness. And we're going to talk about what Yah says about that. Being in constant sadness and sorrow. What Yah word says about constantly being sorrow, constantly being sad. These are things, again, I said with joy that comes from within. This is something that you do to yourself. You have to make a choice. Bitterness. Many of you are bitter because you feel like maybe you didn't do what you were supposed to do early on in life. You wanted to be, an electrician, or you wanted to be a lawyer or whatever. You wanted to be a doctor, or you never did that. So you're bitter and you're mad every time you run across somebody else that is that. Your envy, your jealousy, you're bitter. A person, most of the time, they're bitter. They're always complaining. They're miserable. Most of the time, bitter people are miserable. Most of the time, they're envious and they're jealous and they're bitter. So they're angry and they're mad. They're mad at everybody else, and especially mad at someone that is who they want to be. Or they're just so miserable with themselves, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be about it. It could just be they're just not happy with who they are. And so they're going to project that negativity on everyone else because they're bitter and they're miserable with themselves. Being constantly frustrated. You went to the restaurant, they messed up your food on the menu. Now you've allowed that to ruin the rest of your day. Now you mad at the cat, you mad at the dog, you mad at your husband, you mad at everybody because you went out to dinner earlier that day and they messed it up. You're mad because your boss, is you feel like your boss is a tyrant, a micromanager. You're mad. You allow your coworkers, people who sometimes the enemy will send just to frustrate you every day and to change the way your day is going to go. You're going to allow that to ruin the rest of your day. You're giving people too much control. You're allowing the enemy to steal your joy. Being completely withdrawn from family and friends. That's a sign of a person who has no joy. You don't want to go around anyone. You stay locked up in your house. You don't go outside. You don't talk to anyone. You don't answer the phone when anybody calls you. That's a sign of someone who has no joy. Envy and jealousy. This is self-explanatory. A lot of times people are envy and jealous of you because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's just their envy is, and they envy or are jealous of you because that's a lack of contentment. They're coveting. You may live in a house that they've always dreamt of living in, so they're envy and jealous of you. You may have that career, that job, or that position they've always wanted. They're jealous of you. It could be anything. It could be the way you look. It could just be your confidence in yourself. It could be who you are in Yah. I deal with it all the time. They're jealous because you're a great teacher in Yah, and they're upset with that. So they're going to project that onto you. It really has nothing to do with you. It has to, again, joy, as we saw earlier, it's from within. It's from within. It's when you are satisfied. When you are thankful for whatever Yah has given to you. Everybody is not going to look like Halle Berry. Are you going to sit around and be bitter and angry and mad at everybody that you think it does look like her? Or is you, or someone you think that may look better than you? Everybody is not going to be rich. So can you not rejoice with your brother or sister who may be well off financially? Yah says the poor will always be among us. If everybody was the same, this will be boring. How would he know that you will have the love of Yah in you if there's no one there for you to have that has a need for you to give? If I have the means to help someone and I know someone is struggling, I wouldn't wait for that person to ask me. I'm just going to it gives me joy to be able to bless somebody else. It brings me joy to come before you, those who are listening, every week to do this. It brings me absolute joy to do this. It does. It really does. I consider an honor and a blessing to serve you. If you're mean-spirited, just some people I don't even want to be around. They're mean. They're just like that movie Sybil, bipolar. You don't never know who they're gonna be. 1 minute, good morning. The next minute, they ain't speaking to you. I'm like, huh? I can't deal with moody people. Frequent mood swings. They like to call bipolar a disease. It's you have more than one spirit in you. That's all it is. That's all bipolar is, and all it is a spirit. That means you have more than one demon in you when you're bipolar. That's all that means. So we have to begin to check ourselves and find out, do I fit any of these? And I'm not talking about you. Yes, we have things that happen. We're human and we're going to naturally react, but we have to be able to pull ourselves together for our own safety, for our own souls. We have to be able to pull ourselves together. Do you understand what I'm saying? We cannot continue to stay in a state of despair. We cannot continue to remain stressful. Are you understanding what I'm saying? We cannot do it. So Symptoms of depression, because we talked about this, and depression is a sign that you have no joy. And so, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, it says that symptoms of depression are the following: feelings of hopelessness and pessimism. Person who is pessimistic, they're always negative. They can't ever see the good in anything. It's sunny, like the sun is shining out there. They'll find a way. It ain't 90 degrees. You know, it's 80, it's 84. It ain't 90. They'll always find the negative or the bad in something. They can never see. That's the person who's pessimistic. So feeling of hopelessness and pessimism, irritability, feelings of guilt, feeling worthless or helpless, sleep disruption. This is a person who can't hardly sleep. They're tossing and turning, always getting up, moving and talking more slowly, feeling restless or having trouble sitting still, difficulty concentrating. You're trying to have a conversation with them, they can't concentrate. Appetite or weight changes, so their weight is fluctuating. Thoughts of death or suicide, okay? Aches and pains that don't ease with treatment. And so for many of you, if you do not have a family member or a friend, and this is whether you're serving y'all or not, your life is precious. Okay, your soul is precious. You have no one to talk to. Do not take your life. This number on the screen, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Call this line and speak to someone. Because everyone, it may not be serving out, they may not be in the truth, but I wouldn't want anyone to take their soul. So if you feel like you can't talk to your family members, you can't talk, you don't have any friends, anyone to talk to, and you call this number. If you feeling any of these things, call this number that you see on the screen and talk to someone. And so I have a question for you. Do you know what happens when you allow constant anxiety, constant sadness and depression, constant bitterness, constant anger and envy and jealousy to set up from within and grow? Do you know what happens to you when you allow these spirits to just set up from within and fester and grow? Okay, let's go back to what joy means according to the Bible. Joy is acceptance and what? Trust, right? Joy is acceptance and trust. So according to the Blue Letter Bible, look here, according to the Blue Letter Bible, joy, again, is acceptance and trust. Look at Blue Letter Bible. The joy you receive from within. Thesource.com. Joy is gratification, gratitude, fulfillment. Satisfaction. Being satisfied is when you're in a state of comfort, okay? When you are content. And then look what it says there. Ease. When you are at ease. That's what joy is, when you are at ease. So what is the opposite of ease? Disease. Are you looking at this? The opposite of ease is disease. Diseases. This is how we get diseases. When we're not at ease. The prefix dis means not. Ease, when we are at ease, we have joy. The opposite of being at ease is disease. Look at the antonym for ease. Misery, depression. This is according to thesource.com. The antonym of ease, or the opposite of ease, because ease is joy. So it says that the antonym for ease, or the opposite of joy, is misery, depression, pain, failure, discontent. We talked about this last week, a lack of contentment, which is coveting. Injury. It says injury is trauma. Severe mental or physical pain. When you have severe mental or physical pain, you're suffering from trauma. You have no joy. This is how depression sets up. When you are not at ease, it is a disease. This joy, the opposite of joy is disease. Because ease is joy. When you are at ease, you have joy. You have gratification. You are satisfied. You have gratitude. It is the joy received from within. Joy is what is received from you. Look up at the top, the blue letter Bible for joy. It says a joy received from you. The satisfaction received from you. The content received from you. Being at ease. Are you looking at that? So it's from within. Joy is from within. So when you don't have joy from within, you don't have ease from within. And when you don't have ease from within, what do you have within? Now you have within you a disease. That you most like, how many of you know, and I know this for a fact, you can be feeling fine. And then something comes on TV, now you're crying. Now you're sad. How many times have something happen? Now I feel sick to my stomach. You wasn't feeling sick to your stomach before. Not, that's all in your head. That's all in your mind. Many of you can make yourself sick just from worrying, just from stress. Now all of a sudden you're not feeling well. Why? That's because that's what stress does to you. Your body is not at ease. So you are, as it says, the antonym at the bottom, you are injuring your own body. Depression, misery, sadness, all of these things injure your body. And when you continue to injure your body over and over and over and over and over again, now you have a disease that is setting up, that you have brought on yourself from constant stress, constant sadness and sorrow. This is coming from you. That's why I started off with the definition of joy, so that you can see. Some of these things we have is coming from the curses of Deuteronomy 28. A lot of it is from diet and from what they're doing to the water and the food. But the things that we can control, we can control joy. We can control joy. Yes, are they trying to kill us? Yes, with the food and water. Yes, are we getting sick and get disease from that? Yes, we are. But we have so many other things. Think if we could just control having joy and not allowing everything else that's not out of our control to take away our joy and to take away our joy in Yah. To accept and to trust. It's been times when I felt sick and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be sick. And just with my own mind, I made myself feel better. It's been times I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to throw up. And my mind, let me change my mind. Next thing you know, how many times you've been not feeling well, you feel sick, and then you think about something else. You watch something else. You do something else to distract how you're feeling. And then you look up 5-10 minutes later, you don't even feel sick no more. I know this is not just happened to me. It's will. You have to will yourself to have joy. You have to push past the pain, past the sorrow, because you guess what? We can't change the things that we can't change. What's going to happen is going to happen. What has already happened and has been done is over. You can't change it. We can't change when we lose a loved one. They're gone. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do is live for today. We can't change how our boss is at. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Are you listening to what I'm saying? We can't change it. So this is what the Most High says in Ecclesiastes 30, verses 21 through 23. He says, give not your mind to heaviness, and afflict not yourself in your own counsel. Y'all is saying that this is you doing this. You are counseling your own heart to continue to be sad, to continue to be depressed, to continue to be in heaviness. Yah is saying in Ecclesiastes 30, verses 21, do not give your mind over to sorrowness. Because that's what heaviness is, giving your mind over to sadness. He says, don't afflict yourself. I mean, don't injure yourself. Don't counsel your own mind to injure your body. Verse 22, the gladness of the heart is the life of man. That means the joy. Joy is the life of man. That's what it's saying in verse 22. Joy is the heart, or is the life of man. And the joyfulness of a man prolongs his day. So when you are joy, when you are enjoying joy in Yah, then he says this prolongs your days. Have you seen someone sometime, a person who's just miserable? A lot of times people die early because of the stress. You stress, you might got that high paying job, but you stressed out. Yeah, you got that position, but guess what comes with that higher pay, with that big title that you want? More stress, less time with your family. You spend all your time at the office. You spend all your time away from your wife, away from your children. You're not able to enjoy life. People get happy when they work at the big three, the Chrysler, Ford, and GM, but those people work 12, 13-hour shifts at a time. Only thing they have time to do is to shower and go to sleep and get back up. They have no life. They have no life. Look, when he says that when you don't have joy, you cut your day short. You can tell when somebody has lived a hard life. They look rough. They don't look good in the face. They look tired, bags under their eyes, wrinkles in their face. Like I've seen people who I went to high school with, and I'm like, man, I look good for my age. And some of them, wow, they look like they've been through the ringer of back. You could tell that some of them, their life since high school has not been kind to them. Verse 23, Yah says, love your own soul and comfort your heart. Remove sorrow far from you, for sorrow have killed many, and there is no profit therein. Are you looking at this? Yah is saying you gotta love your own soul. He says, remove sorrow far from you. He said many people have left up out of here because of it. Many people, I remember being in a hospital one time because I was so stressed in my previous marriage by that person till it put me in a state where everything in my body shut down, and I thought I was getting ready to die. And I thought about my child. My son was a baby, and the doctor was like, I don't know what brought you in here. He said, but this is stress. He said, and you need to get rid of whatever it is that caused you to be in here. You have to. And at that moment, I'm like, I got a child. I'm no longer living for myself. I have a child that I have to take care of. I have a child that I'm living for. And Yah finally released me from that. But the point is, you cannot allow people to put you in that state. You have to remove yourself from them people. I don't care if it's family members or friends. If they're doing that to you, you got to remove yourself. But Yah saying, do not give your mind over to sorrowness. Don't afflict yourself. Don't injure yourself. You're counseling your own mind to injure your body. Yah say, love your own soul. Remove sorrow far from you, for sorrow have killed many people. He said, there's no profit in it. There's nothing. It's a waste of time. Why? Because he says, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has enough worries and anxieties in itself. When you are constantly worrying, that is showing that you do not accept and trust Yah. We cannot control what happens. There are some things that's inevitable in life. That's death and paying taxes. We're going to have people come and go out of our lives. We're going to have a job. We're going to lose a job. Things happen. You may have a business and lose a business. But you have to understand that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah. My life is not in the bread. It's not in material things. It's not in people. Your joy has to be in Yah. You have to be strong and anchored in him. And when you allow that foundation, which is trust is the backbone of joy. When you allow that foundation to be shaken, now the enemy can come in because he has found a crack in your armor. Another version says, don't deliberately torture yourself by giving in to depression. Happiness makes for a long life and makes it worth living. Enjoy yourself and be happy. Don't worry all the time. Worry never did anybody any good, and it has destroyed many people. It will make you old before your time. Jealousy and anger will shorten your life. Are you looking at this? Jealousy and anger will shorten your life. A cheerful person with a good attitude will have a good appetite and enjoy his food. That's why I can't deal. If I feel like you have an envious or jealousy spirit, I don't want to be around you. Because I don't trust a person that's envy or jealousy of you. So when you are being held captive, this means that you are a prisoner in your own mind. When you have no joy, you're in constant stress, constant anxiety, constant sadness, worrying about everything, walking around in fear, afraid of everything. That means you don't have any joy. That means you don't trust in Yah. He will allow nothing to happen to you unless it's his will. When you're walking around like that, envy and jealous of everybody, bitter, angry, moodiness, frustrated all the time, sad all the time, depressed all the time, you're suffering from anxiety, you are a prisoner in your own mind. You are counseling your own mind to enter your body. So we have to fight against that. We have to fight against it. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 and 5 says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yah to the pulling down of strongholds, cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Messiah. For those of you who struggle with envy, jealousy, sadness, depression, all these things we've been talking about, you don't have any joy, take out your Bibles and fight. The word of Yah is spiritual. It is life. The sword of the Spirit is the word of Yah. That's your sword. The word of Yah is your sword. That's how you fight. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Read verses 4 and 5 and have it and read that every day until you have it memorized. And then every time a negative thought comes, every time you around people and they seem able to bring you down, quote this out loud. I cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Messiah. You have to command those spirits to obey. Every time you have a thought, you know that it's not of Yah. You know that this thought, every time this thought comes to your mind, it's bringing you sadness, it's bringing you stress, it's bringing you anxiety. When you thinking something about somebody else, most of the time these people ain't even thinking about you. And now you feeling some kind of way and they don't have a clue. You start quoting 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. Just start quoting. I cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Messiah. Command those thoughts to obey the Messiah. You have to throw those imaginations down. What is an imagination? Look on the screen. Thesource.com. An imagination is the power to create in one's mind unreality. An imagination is the power to create in one's mind that which is not real. You have created something in your mind that is not real. Yah says, cast down imaginations. Hollywood talks about imagination. Yah, there's nowhere in scripture does Yah tell you to imagine anything. Imagine is false. Imagination and imagining is a lie. Are you looking at this? An imagination is the power to create in one's mind that which is not real. Anything that is not real is not true. Anything that is not true is false. Anything that is false is a lie. So your mind, you have created a lie in your mind and you are believing it, and you are causing this lie that you have created in your mind to cause you to change the way you feel about yourself, to change the way you feel about your brother and sister. Now you're walking around hating your brother and sister without a cause because the imagination, something that is not real, but something that you have created in your mind because you have no joy and because you have no trust in Yah. Now we're getting ready to get to a major precept. We're going to get to a major precept. When I saw this, I was like, wow. Look on your screen. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. This goes back to what I talked about in joy. Having joy and joy in Yah is not predicated on your circumstances. It's not predicated on if you're going through something or you're not. Hebrews 12 verses 1 and 2 says, through endurance. Okay, through endurance. That means persevering. You can't endure or persevere unless you're going through something. You have to go through something in order to endure. You have to suffer some type of trial or tribulation. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2 says, through endurance, let us also run the race set before us. Let us fix our eyes on Yeshua, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the torture stake, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of Yah. Are you looking at this? Are you looking at this? Let me read this again. Let us fix our eyes on Yeshua, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him, what joy was set before him? He endured the torture stake, which many Christians call the cross, the tree. It literally says, for the joy set before him, our Master Yeshua endured the tree or the stake. Hebrews 12 and 2 literally says that our Messiah Yeshua stayed on the tree because he knew the joy that was set before him. That's not pleasure. That's not a place of happiness. That's not a place of everything is okay and it's going to be all right. It says that our Messiah stayed on the tree because he knew the joy that was set before him. Again, are you looking at this? It was joy that kept our master Yeshua from getting down from the tree and saying, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this suffering. It was joy that kept the Messiah on the tree. Are you looking at this? This is major. Joy kept our Messiah on the tree. Joy kept our Messiah from getting down and saying, no, I can't deal with this suffering. Joy kept him on that stake. Are you looking at this? Many of us have been sold a lie. We've been sold a lie that if everything is not all right, then we can't still have joy. Don't you know that Yah can give you joy right in the midst of the storm? I don't know about you, but everything that brings me pleasure or happiness hasn't always been good for me. Fornicating before I knew Yah brought me pleasure, but that was not good for me. It was not good for my soul. I love pasta and rice, but my waistline hates it. Are you understand what I'm saying? Happiness is so inconsistent. One minute you love those shoes that you just bought. Now this season it's out of style. Well, that was last year. I hear people saying that about the word of Yah. Oh, that's the old word. His word is always fresh. It never gets old. It never gets stale. Some of you might find pleasure in things like Paul said are sinful, but or what Paul said, there's some things that are not unlawful, but they have no profit. It's not a sin for me to eat rice and pasta, but it's of no profit. Because if I continue to eat that, then I'm going to end up with diabetes. I'm going to end up fat. So joy comes from having a fixed perspective or a fixed focus on the things that won't change. Are you listening? Joy comes from having a fixed focus, having a mindset, having your mind focused on the things that won't change, on the things that are not temporary. We as believers have to keep our mind and our eyes off of the world and keep our hearts and our minds fixed on Yeshua. So if we don't have joy, it's because our focus changes too much. That's why you only find happiness in your jobs. You find happiness in your relationships. You find happiness in how much money you think you have, how big you think your house is, how the kind of car you drive. Many people, they find happiness in their worldly material possessions. But just like the celebrities, when those things start to change, when those things start to deplete and go away, then so does their happiness. This is the reason why you see celebrities commit suicide, strung out on drugs, being alcoholics, taking pain pills, because they are hurting inside. They have no joy inside. Those material things didn't bring them the joy that they thought it was going to bring them when they sold to Satan. Now when they got all these demons chasing after them and they got to do all these sacrifices to keep it, it's not worth it. They have no joy. So they just go kill themselves. Are you looking at this? My grandmother used to always sing this song. I keep my mind, she didn't know his name wasn't Jesus, but she said, I keep my mind stayed on Jesus. She said, sing that song. I understand that now. Despite what's going on, keeping your mind stayed on Yeshua, our Messiah. I don't hear any modern day grandmothers singing these songs anymore. My grandmother used to sing them songs, those spiritual songs. She might not have known what his name was, but she sure did teach me how to honor him, how to respect him. And she taught me the words. She taught me how to pray. She took me to church. She gave me a foundation. I don't hear any modern day grandmothers singing any of these songs, sharing any wisdom. Joy is that thing that nobody can take from you. Stephen went down while they were stoning him with joy, while he was being persecuted for the Messiah's sake. Joy is something that the world cannot give you. So why would you allow the world to take it? The world can't take it because the world does not possess joy. I'm going to say this again. The world cannot take joy because they don't possess it. But they have fooled many celebrities into thinking that they have joy when it's really happiness. Happiness is temporary. It's predicated on emotions, how things are going, how you feeling. Joy, you have joy regardless of the circumstance, regardless if you have it or you don't have it. Whether everything is okay or not, your trust is in Yah. You know if you serving Yah and he is your shield, you know he got you. So you ain't shaken by life, even if it comes down to death, because you're going to rejoice as the apostles did in the books of Acts for being persecuted for his name's sake. Look again. Hebrews 12, 1-2. Through endurance, let us also run the race set before us. Let us fix our eyes on Yeshua, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the torture state, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of Yah. Another version for verse 2 says, we do this by keeping our eyes on Yeshua, the founder and the protector of our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the stake, disregarding his shame. He disregarded the shame that was associated with having to be up on that stake, that tree, that piece of wood. He disregarded what the label that was going to be attached to it. He knew what joy was awaiting him, so that's what that joy is what kept him up on there. He could have easily got down. They mocked him. If you who you say you are, then get down from this stake, then get down off this piece of wood. He knew the joy that was awaiting. He allowed them to spit on him and mock him. What's going on now? He is seated in place of honor besides Yah's throne. He's sitting at the right hand of the throne of Yah. He ain't caring about what they were saying. Don't allow what people think about you and what people are saying about you, especially when you know who you are in Yah, to change how you feel about yourself. So what? You went on that job interview. They don't see the goodness of Yah in you. They hired somebody else. So what? He may have something better for you. Don't allow anybody to have you second guessing who you are in Yah and have you feel bad about yourself. If you serving Yah, you are that in Yah. This is major. This precept here is major. We have to know it and stand on it. Are you understanding? Let's go to some more. Isaiah 53:10 says, yet it pleased Yah to bruise him. Are you looking at this? Why did it please Yah to bruise his own son? Hebrews 12:2 tells you, because he knew the joy that was set before him. He knew why he was sent there, to redeem his chosen people back, his bride. His bride. This is why it pleased him to bruise Yeshua. Not because he was just being cruel, because of the joy. one day soon, with being able to take his bride back, renew that covenant with those same people, the chosen people of Yah, the Israelites. Let's go with some more precepts. Romans 8:35-39 says, who shall separate us from the love of Messiah? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? Even as it has been written, for your sake we are killed all the day. We are counted as lambs for the slaughter. But in all these things we are more than conquerors through him loving us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor cherubs, nor rulers, nor armies, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other thing created will be able to separate us from the love of Yah and the Messiah Yeshua, our Master. Paul said, I don't care what I'm going through, whether I got it or I don't. Nothing is going to separate me. Look what he said in Philippians 4:11-12. He says, I am not saying this out of need, for I have learned to be content. We talked about this last week in the mark of Cain. Go back, please check out the mark of Cain. When I tell you, you are going to be truly blessed by this webinar teaching, you will be blessed. People are still talking about it. I am not saying this out of need. He says, for I have learned to be content. That means I have learned to have joy regardless of my circumstance. This is what Paul is saying. I have learned to have joy. When he says I have learned to be content, we learned earlier that joy is content. It's a state of being content, a state of being satisfied. Paul says, I have learned to be in a constant state of content. I have learned to have joy regardless of my circumstances, no matter what's going on. He said, I know what it is to be in need. I know what it means to have plenty. I have learned this secret. So, and he said, this is a secret. Why is this a secret? Why is this hidden the most? Because the churches teach you that you're going to be blessed. Pay your tithes. You ain't going to have to go through nothing. JC, he don't pay it all. Our people in the church think that you're not going to go through things, suffering and affliction. He says that those who will follow the Messiah will be persecuted. You will be persecuted. You will suffer much tribulation to enter into the kingdom, because that's what our Messiah said. You must suffer much tribulation. You're going to go through. You're going to be tested. You're going to have to go through trials and tribulations. Paul said, I have had times when I have had plenty. I've had times when I have been in need, where I needed people to help me. I've been in both situations. I have been in situations where I have been able to bless other people. Now I'm in a situation where I need help. But Paul said, I have learned to have joy. I have learned to be content regardless of my circumstances. He says, why? Look at verse 19 at the bottom. My Yah will supply all your needs. He said, I will supply all your needs. He says, if I clothe the grass and I feed the birds, what more will he do for you who love him, who's called according to his purpose? That's trust. The birds don't worry about where their food coming from. The grass don't worry, am I coming back next year? The flowers don't worry, am I getting ready to bloom in the spring? Yeah, I got them. You gotta be the same way. Y'all got me. That's gotta be your mindset. Y'all got me. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Look at the screen. We're going to read a little bit about Job. I'm not going into, if you don't know, you can go to Job chapter 1. You can read all about Job. But Job went through. Do you understand? Job, he went through. Look at Job 1, verses 20 through 22. Job lost everything. He lost all his oxen, his cattle, everything. He lost his children. He had boils on him. He had everything. The enemy was able. Job was a righteous servant. When you read Job chapter 1, it starts off with letting you know this was not happening because Job has sinned against Yah. This was for the glory of Yah. Sometimes we're going to suffer for the glory of Yah. When the man in the Bible, I can't remember, when they were going through and Yeshua was healing and they came upon a man who was blind and he couldn't see. And one of the apostles said, what did one of his parents do that this blindness come upon him? And Yeshua said, this has not been done because his parents sinned. He said, this is for the glory of Yah. When he healed him, this is a testimony for you to go and tell of his mercy and his goodness. A lot of times you go through things because you're going to be a blessing and help somebody else to go through it and show them how to get out of it. Is going through it and being afflicted, is that easy? Is it comfortable? Does it feel good? No. But it's necessary. And Job rose up and tore his robe. So after Job lost everything, Job 1 verses 20 through 22 says, and Job rose up and tore his robe and shaved his beard. And shaved his head. And he fell down on the ground and worshiped. He lost everything. Job was rich. He had everything. He lost everything. House, children, all his animals. That was his way of living. He lost everything. He was able to have sickness get on his body. Y'all say you can do everything, but you can't kill him. So he was allowed to be a thorn at Job's side, but Satan could not kill him. Say, do you know, when you read Job chapter 1, do you know that the enemy, Satan, he can't do anything unless Yah allows it? Did you know that? If you are serving Yah, he has to get permission from Yah himself to touch you, to touch your life. Many of you have holes in your armor. You have things going on in your life. You're walking in sin, and there's an opening. You have made covenants with unclean spirits in the kingdom of darkness, and that's been an open doorway. They don't have to go get permission. You open up the door. Sin opens up the door. You're not going to be protected if you don't repent. If you are fornicating, you are sinning against your own body. Repent. Job, it says that Job rose up, tore his robe, and shaved his head and fell down on the ground and worshiped. And he said, I came naked out of my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. So he's like, look, y'all don't took everything from me. He said, I came in this world naked, and I'm going to leave out naked. Then what did he do? He says, Yah has given to me. And then he says, Yah has taken away. Blessed be the name of Yah. In all this, Job did not sin, nor did he charge wrong to Yah. Job didn't say, oh, Yah, why is this happening to me? Oh, Yah, why are you doing this to me? Oh, Yah. He said, blessed be the name of Yah. How many of you, when you're going through things, and myself included, did you get down on your knees and say, blessed be the name of Yah. I have lost everything. You gave me this job and you have taken it away. You gave me this house. You've taken it away. Blessed be the name of Yah. When have you got down on your knees after you've gone through a trial and tribulation? Just get down on your knees and start worshiping him. This teaching is going to hit hard for many of you, and myself included. Everything is not about peaches and roses and lilies and dandelions and everything gonna be all right. And no, that's not reality. You having an imagination, a delusion. But when all of that was over, Job, when you get to Job 6:10, it says, look what Job said. It brings me comfort and joy through unrelenting pain that I have not denied the words of the set apart one. Job said that this suffering he was going through brought him comfort and joy. Are you looking at this? He says, throughout all of the things that I'm going through, he says, I have not denied the words of the set apart one. Many people at that time would have turned away from Yah. I know many people was in this truth and then they turned away because things not going right. So their faith was not in Yah. Their faith was in their material things and what they had. The Hebrew root says, if it is yet my comfort, and I will exalt in pain, not spare, for I have not hidden the words of the set apart one. He says, it is yet my comfort, and I will exalt in pain, not spare. He exalted in the pain that wasn't spared. That's what he says. It pleased him to bruise the Messiah. Job is pretty much saying the same thing. Job 42:10. Once this is over, it says, Yah turned the captivity of Job, and Yah added to Job all which had been his to double. So he had returned and given to Job. He doubled everything that Job had lost. Yah gave him double. Because Yah said, have you tried my servant Job? He told this to Satan. And he said, well, how can I get to him? You got a hedge of protection around him. Take that hedge of protection off and watch he curse you to his face. But no, Job didn't do that. Job fell on the ground and began to worship him. He said, blessed be the name of Yah. He said it brought him comfort. That pain was not spared. And so just looking at the screen. There's a boat, and then underneath the boat, you see an anchor. Okay. Anchor is at the ground. As believers, we choose to live below joy. We choose to live below joy. And the reason why I keep saying we choose, because if you have already heard and the definition of what joy is acceptance and trust. And it's the joy that comes from you, according to the Blue Letter Bible. Again, we choose to live below joy. And when we continue to choose to live below joy, we will always be diseased, aka we will always be not at ease. Okay? Joy is the anchor. And I said this earlier. Joy is the anchor in the midst of the storm. Joy is a heart thing. It's a heart thing because it's the mind. Okay? It's the mindset. And we have to trust him. When the economy is flipped upside down and you lose your job, you have to accept and trust him. When your car breaks down and you need to get to work, you have to accept and trust him. When you're late on your bills and the lights, you're getting ready to get cut off, you have to accept and trust him. When you're sick, the doctor's telling you they don't know what's wrong with you. Whatever his will is, you have to accept and trust him. No matter what you're going through, as believers, our stance has to remain, I will trust in Yah. I will trust in Yah at all times. The joy of Yah is my strength. I accept and I trust him. That's the only way you can lose everything like Job and still say, blessed be the name of Yah. Who else can do that? Unless you accept and you trust. Job said, look, you gave to me and you take it away. Blessed be the name of Yah. That's the only way you can go out rejoicing after you've been persecuted for his name's sake. That's the only way that Yeshua can remain on a tree and say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Those are pleasurable things that I just got finished naming. And so again, joy can only come from within you. So thesource.com says that an anchor is something used to hold another thing securely. An anchor is something that is used to hold another thing securely. And so, having said that, when we talked about bearing fruit, you can't bear fruit when you can't stay planted. You don't bear fruit when you can't stay planted. Again, moving to and fro. This is why you see this boat. The anchor is keeping that boat from wavering. Moving to and fro is wavering. That's why he said double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Every wind of doctrine come. Let me see what they talking about. Here comes somebody over here with another sexist man. Oh, let me go over and see what they talking about. You all over the place. You not grounded. You where's your anchor at? You a boat that has just went amok. You as we learned last week, wandering is wavering is wandering aimlessly. We talked about wandering aimlessly last week with the mark of Cain. Okay? This is what happiness brings. Happiness is a boat that doesn't have an anchor. Happiness is wandering aimlessly. Happiness brings the temporal, that which is temporary, that which does not remain, that which is not grounded. Joy is an anchor that is immovable. Joy is an anchor that is grounded, unchanging, despite the circumstances, despite the waves of life. An anchor is unshakable. Jeremiah 15:16 says, your words were found and I ate them. And your word was to me the joy and gladness of my heart. Your word was joy to me, is what Jeremiah is saying. He says, for I am called by your name, O Yad, Elohim of hosts. Your word was joy to me. Are you looking at this? When you are anchored and firm and stand firm on the word of Yah, you don't wander aimlessly. Somebody can come with a new doctrine and you're not going to be wavering back and forth, tossed to and fro. That's someone who is immature believer. Those who are mature and sound, they not every time somebody come with a new doctrine, they believe in it. They test the spirit to see if it be of Yah. They are as the Bereans, to search the scriptures daily to see if what is being taught to them is to see if it's so. You have to have the mindset of the Bereans. Are you looking at what I'm saying? This is the problem with many of our people. And so we listened to part one at the beginning. We listened to part one in the beginning. And we're going to listen to part two. You'll listen to part two. She has a testimony. Part one, she talked about how she was so miserable. How she was, had everything that anyone, as far as a lifestyle would covet and want. But she talked about how miserable she was and how she didn't have joy. And so she's going to continue with part two and to show you, and this is about 3 minutes, to show you where this stem from. She talks about, she connected traumatic life experiences and the things that she went through to having joy And when I had heard this, I was like, wow, I got to put this in the teaching today, because most people do not connect struggling, suffering, trials and tribulations to joy. But we know that the Messiah said that it was the joy that was set before him. Because of the joy that was set before him, he stayed on the tree. He suffered.
We counted up that I had moved 14 times before the age of 12. 14 different bedrooms, beds, cots. She said, no wonder you're always gunning for the future and trying to be perfect and worrying about everything for everyone else. You don't trust. You have to learn to let people love you. It was during this time that I began to see that living in spite of anything is poisonous to my soul. If you're living in spite of something from the past, you're living in the past. You're not seeing the joy in the present. If you're constantly worrying about tomorrow, that things are going to go bad, was always worried about my son. What if something happens to me? Will he be able to take care of himself? He needs good grades so he can go to college. I was making everyone crazy. I was tired of being super mom and super lawyer and super volunteer and super granddaughter. I began to enter group therapy and study spiritual writings. I'd been to church my whole life, but I finally began to listen to the writings about the love that God had for me the moment I was born. No one else on this earth wanted me to be born, but God loved me and welcomed me. I was finally able to rid myself of shame and embarrassment and love others. And through that, I began to see the joy in my life I had been missing for years. I served for years in Oklahoma at a camp by the Episcopal Diocese of Tulsa for children of the incarcerated, where children from all over the state are brought to summer camp to just be kids and be with people whom they can connect with. The people who understand what it's like to love and to hate a parent inside, who know what it's like to be proud of their parents for making it, but be so ashamed to the outside world. And my work with those kids and my work with the people I do today bring me joy. I no longer wish that Mike and Carol Brady were my parents. I would not have the relationships and the people in my life that I have today. Living in spite of something that has given me connectors to other people has given me joy in my life. I've in recent years applied those principles to my physical body as well as my spiritual. No more anger, no more alcohol, no more self-pity, no more cigarettes, no more shame, no more sugar. I live in joy and gratitude every day, and I look for it, and I see it. Of course, I'm not glad that any of the things that happened to me happened, but they're not going away. They're part of my story.
So, I had never, until doing this teaching, I had never connected trials and tribulations, struggling, afflictions, adverse childhood experiences. I had never made that connection to joy, because I think about a lot of times, some of my childhood and growing up and some of the things that happened to me, which I won't talk about. I never connected that I was being put on the road to having joy. And so this was, a powerful, if you want to, you can go on. This was a TED Talk. You can go on YouTube. Her name is Martha Landagen. She's a former public school English teacher, a licensed attorney, and also a business consultant. And you can just see the entire thing. I just put clips of it. Just for time's sake, you can see the entire thing on YouTube. And so, James chapter 1, verses 2-3 says, "My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the proving of your faith works patience. For patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Another version says, "My brothers and sisters, count it all joy when you are tested in different ways, knowing that testing of your faith produces endurance. allows endurance to finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. So this is for us to be complete in Yah. That's why he says, count it all joy. This is the reason why Job rejoiced when he lost everything, while he was going through, while Brother Stephen was rejoicing, while he was getting stoned to death on his way down, while Yeshua said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because they knew the joy that was set before them. They knew that endurance, will finish its work, that they may be mature and complete. This is about proving your faith. Psalms 119 verse 50 says, this is my comfort in affliction, that your promise has given me life. This is David. He's saying his comfort, that's joy. This is his comfort, his joy, his calm, his ease in being afflicted. What is it? That his promise has given him life. Comfort, again, means peace, calm, aka joy. Many of our forefathers wrote about it, we just didn't know about it or hadn't paid attention to it. We're almost done. I'll be calling Prenia in a second. I have a couple more scriptures. Psalms 30 and 50 says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalms 126 and 5 says, those who sow in tears may reap with shouts of joy. Romans 14 to 17 says, for the kingdom of Yah is not about eating and drinking, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Spirit. He wants us to have joy. He wants us to have peace. So we have to make a choice. We cannot allow our emotions, oh, I'm happy today, so I'm in a good mood, so I'm good. And then when I'm not, now that's taking my joy. We cannot be controlled by our emotions. You cannot serve Yah with your emotions. He's not, and that's not who he is. He's a spirit. He's not moved by emotions. How you feel, it should not determine if you're going to serve him or not. And so, I know you've heard this before, your mind is a battlefield. There's a war for your soul. Satan, when he attacks, the first thing Satan does, he attacks your mind. When you're under attack, you are in spiritual warfare. The scripture tells us that Satan comes to do what? To steal, to kill, and to destroy. He wants to come and steal your joy, kill it, and then destroy it. So you can be in a constant state, instead of being in a constant state of ease and peace, to be in comfort, to be in a constant state of misery, depression, anxiety, stress, so you can be destroyed. And so these are some steps that I have come up with. And these are pretty much coming from the Bible, not just some I'm just making off the top of my head, to help you with overcoming anxiety and stress and depression and soreness. Step one is to repent. To repent means to change your mind. It means to change your mind. Remember, joy is the joy that is from within you. It starts with your mind. Repent. If you've been allowing the world, life, people to stress you out to the point where you have lost your joy, and even more so, you've lost your joy, and Yah, you need to repent. Change the way you think. Yah says to remove sorrow far from you, because many have left up out of here because of it. He says, do not allow your mind to counsel you to injure your soul. After you repent, fast. Go on a fast. Some people can't do it for 24 hours. Fast for 12 hours a day. Just don't eat during the day. When you wake up, don't eat until the evening. Do a fast, and during that fast, pray. Remember, the sword of the spirit is the word of Yah. That's what you fight with. The word. Our weapons are not carnal. We're not fighting and dealing with no flesh and blood. You can't kill a spirit with a knife or a gun. We're dealing with demons. We're dealing with spirits. You fight them through the word of Yah. That is your armor. That is your protection. That's what step 4 is. Use your sword. That's the word. Start quoting scripture. Start reading it out loud. Taking command over those spirits. They have to obey the name of Yeshua. And then use step 5. Continue to walk in obedience to what Yah's word tells you to do and stand firm on it. Be anchored. Don't be wavering back and forth. Scriptures tell us as a man is in his mind, so is he. Whoever you are in your mind, whatever thoughts or imaginations that's in your mind, that's who you are. You have to change your mind. Nehemiah 8:10 says, the joy of Yah is your strength. The joy of Yah, that's your strength. Yeshua is the joy of Yah. That was the joy that was set before him. 2 Timothy 2:22 says, to flee evil desires and to pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on Yah out of a pure heart. So he tells us to flee evil desires. When you have desires to do things and you're thinking things that are not of Yah, he says to flee those desires, to flee those thoughts, and then pursue righteousness. Pursue faith. When you pursue something, you're running after it. You're chasing after it. You're being intentional. Pursue righteousness. Pursue faith. Pursue love and peace, along with those who call on Yah out of a pure heart. So that means check your circle of friends, including your family. A lot of times your family is the one that's stealing all your peace, that's stealing all of your joy. Is it your boss? Have you allowed your boss to steal all your peace, to steal all your joy? Come on, think about it. We have to get to a point where we are not allowing our circumstances, and that includes people, unfortunately, family members and friends, because you cannot change people. This I am learning, and I'm learning this now. You can't change people. People are going to do what they want to do. While you sitting around stressed out, that don't you think that person know they stressing you for how they treat you? A lot of times people are being used by the enemy. They're coming after you, and you don't even have enough sense to know what's going on. You don't have no sense. You don't have enough sense to know that this person has been sent by the enemy to stress you out. And this is the same person, the same coworker. Every day you go to work, that's the same coworker that he don't send to stress you out. This is what he does. He uses people. He uses family members. He uses friends. People, well, not a real friend, but people that you know close to you to get up under your skin. So he says, flee evil desires, and we are to pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on Yah. Those who call on Yah out of a pure heart. Again, check your circle of friends, including family, because sometimes I don't care if it's family or not. You need to get rid of them too. If they're a part of causing you stress, causing you anxiety, taking away your peace, where you're not sleeping at night, where they're making you sick because you constantly sit around work. You got a hard-headed child that don't want to listen, and they got you up at night pacing the floor, you in tears, and they out doing whatever they doing, not giving a care about how their parents are feeling. You're going to have to let them go. You're going to have to pray for them from afar, but you're going to have to let them go, because they are making their choice. You are not going to put yourself 6 feet under because you worried about children who want to continue to be heathens. Again, Happiness is dictated by your circumstances. Okay? That means happiness is dictated by what's going on externally. Okay? We can't control if our boss act crazy. We can't control if we lose our jobs. We can't control how someone else treats us. We can't control the weather. Oh, it's not sunny. Now you depressed because it's cloudy. Okay? And what's even sadder, think about this. Most of us, when we pray, have you ever realized that most of our prayer requests are about things that we can't control? Think about it. Most of the time when you've gone to Yah, most of the time you're praying about things that you can't control. And so, if I am only content when things are going well, that's happiness. That's not joy. If I can only give Yah praise and only serve him when I'm not suffering and when I'm not going through a trial, that's happiness. That's not joy. Happiness moves to and fro. Happiness is temporary. It's unfulfilling, but joy is sustaining. Joy is sustaining. Joy is immovable. Joy, as I said earlier, is the anchor that sustains us right in the midst of the storm. And so we cannot allow life and people to knock the life out of us. We can't allow what is inevitable to happen in this life to suck the life out of us and steal the joy of Yah, who is our strength. The last one, spend time with Yah. When you start feeling yourself being stressed, you just feeling overwhelmed, you're like, I just can't do this. Open up your Bible. Put on a song and sing spiritual hymns. Sing songs to Yah. David danced out his clothes. Read. Spend time with Yah. Allow Yah to pour into you. Go look at the butterflies. Go to the park and watch the water, watch the birds. Go take a walk. Go get a good friend and go enjoy. Go out to dinner. Go catch a good movie. Have fun. It's okay, Israelites. And for those of you in the truth, people think because you serve Yah, you can't enjoy life. You can't have fun. Have fun. Go take a trip. Go, even if it's for a day and you don't have a lot of money, just go get a hotel and just stay overnight. You or a friend or you by yourself and just enjoy yourself. Spend time with Yah. Just have fun. We have made life so hard. We learned last week that Yah said that Cain and Cain's descendants were responsible for taking away the simple life. They were responsible for cities, for setting up walls and boundaries, for weights and measures so that they can learn how to lure and control the people. They charge you for water, all the simple things that we shouldn't have to pay for, that Yah gave us for free. That came from Cain and his descendants. If you have not checked out last week's teaching, when I'm telling you it's going to bless you, go back and check out. It's a webinar teaching just like this one. It's called The Mark of Cain. Go back and check it out. It's truly connected to this in ways that I would have never thought. Because Cain didn't have joy in Yah. Abel did. He was jealous. He had no joy. Remember, envy and jealousy. That's a sign that you have no joy. He said a person is envy and Ecclesiasticus, a person who is envy and jealous, they age quickly. They die soon. And so this is the last one. Preeti, you can come in. For those of you who are listening, this is our teaching ministry. If you have any questions or comments, You can email us at servantsofyah@yahoo.com. Prina, your thoughts on today's teaching?
Well, first, I just want to say Toda Yah. This lesson was very uplifting in so many facets. And, you know, because we really don't hear about joy.
No.
And what it means in its totality to have joy. And I was just oh my goodness, I was just in awe with this lesson because, you know, just listening to you giving the definitions and going through what joy really means. You know, I just find myself just examining myself because, you know, I lived from the happiness standpoint.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a feeling to you. And when you don't have that feeling, you feel like, oh, then things not going right. And we measure ourselves by what the world say we are successful and how if we have accomplished based on what have been supplanted in us subliminally.
Yeah, the material possessions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just like coming into knowing Yah and just knowing, you know, that joy is through accepting and trust. And when just that definition alone, that just stood out to me. And just it helped me re-examine what I feel sometimes, and you know, about my success or the things that I have, you know. So it just helped me just to re-examine my stance with Yah, and do I really trust him, and do I really accept the things that happen and just let it go. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times we sabotage ourselves, and what really stood out to the most to me with this lesson was just knowing that joy is within.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be the one that give your own self joy. It's like nobody else can give it to you but you. And it starts with being content and trusting in Yah and accepting and knowing that he's your provider and he's your giver and he's your healer. If you saying these things and you praying, and you have to let him, you have to believe it, you know, because I think a lot of times we pray these things, but we really don't believe it in its totality. Like you said, we'll go pray to Yah, and then next thing you know, we trying to work it out ourselves because he seemed like is, you know, he's taking too long.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, and so I just really this lesson really stood out. I really love the lady Martha Mundogan.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very powerful. But your steps was very powerful. But what was really powerful was knowing that opposite of ease was disease.
Oh,
I mean, when you brought that out, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but what really hit it home was that major precept.
Oh yeah, with the Messiah, the joy.
Yes, Hebrews 12.
Yes.
1 through 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that really just
knocked it out the park for me.
Yes, that blew it out the water.
Yes.
But I mean, you know, and when you just talked about imaginations, you know, that power that is created in one's mind, and we were never supposed to imagine anything, and we see that with when Yah tell us to cast down those imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
So in all, this lesson was just really uplifting, and I know it will help many people that is suffering in depression and silence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love how you list, you know, the signs of not having joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it helps you examine if you fall in this range, you know, and so it just we just have to learn that without trust, you're not gonna have joy. And
Yeah, imagination stood out to me when
yes,
you cast down imaginations.
yes,
And what imagination is you are basically in your mind, you have trust in something that's not true. This is something
yes,
you yourself are doing.
yes.
When I learned what imagine, because he says cast down imagination.
Imaginations. Yes, he did.
And they talk about imaginations and imagine, and I'm like, we ain't
Yes.
imagine nothing, because that's something that is it says unreality.
Yeah.
It's something that you create in your mind that is not true. So a lot of like Disney and a lot of they talk about the kids' imaginations and all this. You can imagine. No, he ain't saying nothing about imagine anything.
Yes, and then
It's not true.
And when you see people like believing that someone loves them, or when you see these psycho movies and they get all of this at, it's from the imagination in their mind. But one other scripture that really stood out too, that really helped, was Ecclesiasticus.
Oh yeah, sorrow.
Yes, and knowing that what it would do to you, this is and so it's just this was very eye-opening lesson, and I just hope that people really take heed to this lesson, because a lot of times people think they have joy because of the happiness that's in their life, but it's just what's going on in their life, but it's just really temporal as happiness. They don't see the difference. Some people equate happiness with joy, and these two are not the same. And so I just love the thorough breakdown of the definitions and how you went in depth with what it really means to have joy, and what it means and how to have joy, because it starts within, and so you gave the root cause of why you are not in joy, which is you're discontent, as in Cain was, you don't have contentment.
Yeah, lack of contentment.
Content,
which is pride and coveting.
Yes. And so and then you went into how to get joy. And so I really love this lesson, and I think that this will help people that's suffering with depression or anxiety and stress, not just in our walk, but just
life,
in general, and so it's just because a lot of people suffer and then they end up committing suicide because they couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. That's why I put the suicide numbers for anyone who don't have, they don't have to talk to somebody. Life is precious, and so
yes, it is. And then once you die, you can't. That's an unforgivable sin. So
because you killed your own, it's still murder.
Yes.
So I'm gonna allow you to lead us out with a reading, and then we'll leave out with our song.
Yes. Okay. So I'm reading from 1 Chronicles 29, verses 10 through 13 and verse 18. And David blessed Yah before the eyes of all the congregation. And David said, "Blessed are you, O Yah, the power of Israel, our Father, forever and ever. To you, O Yah, be the greatness and the power and the high esteem and the victory and the majesty. For all in the heavens and the earth belongs to you. O Yah, yours is the kingdom, and you lift up yourself to all as head. And the riches and the honor come before you, and you rule over all. And it is in your hand and in your hand is power and might. And it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And now our power, we're giving thanks to you, giving praise to your high esteemed name. Oh yeah, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers, keep this forever for the intent of the thoughts of your people and prepare their heart toward you. In Yeshua's name, so be it." Sorry about that. I lost my place.
Okay. So we're going to just end with here. May Yah bless and keep thee. May he make his face shine upon thee and be gracious to thee. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. We're going to leave you with this beautiful song. Definitely.
Wait, before you go out with the song, I want to make mention one of the Psalms that you read in the beginning is supposed to be 33 and 21. That's the one with our hearts are glad. That one. I don't remember. It was that one of the first ones you read, Psalms 28.
Next time, just tell me then. So,
okay,
like a billion scriptures I read, so I have no idea which one. So next time,
okay,
tell me right on the spot. That way,
yes,
I let everybody know. But thank you.
okay.
Okay,
right.
So we're gonna end with this beautiful song, and may Yah's peace be upon you all. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
The rest of your Sabbath.
breathe.